Thurles Lions Trust is an approved housing body, a limited company, and we're an offshoot of Thurles Lions Club proper. And I suppose the genesis of the company started in the late 90s when the members of Thurles Lions Club witnessed the conditions that some individuals were living in around the town and around the greater area of Mid-Tipperary. So they set about rectifying that, and they formed an approved housing body. When fundraising, by 2007 they had raised nearly $250,000, qualified for capital assistance scheme grants, and then undertook the construction of the company's first development at Line Matthew Burke House, where we have 14 independent apartments for adults who are impacted by mental disability, intellectual disability, and at risk of homelessness. By 2010, 2011, it was obvious that there was a dire need for move-on accommodation in the town, and some of our residents were ready to move. We couldn't find accommodation for them. So we accessed capital assistance grants, and we constructed 6 independent own-door apartments at a location called Butler Court as move-on. During 2015-16, then we purchased 6 units around the town at various locations, again as move-on accommodation. In 2018, we acquired an existing development of 34 units, Monastery Close, that has 23 2-bed bungalows and 11 1-bed apartments. And this is our current development, the Stannick's Village, on the site of the former Stannick's home, and this will have accommodation for 19 adults. And we took the property over in 2018 from the then Stannick's Trust, who would not have had the capacity or the financial capability to go about refurbishing the building and extending it. We made an application, and with the assistance of Tipperary County Council, we've been approved for over 3 million in funding. The total project is going to cost over 4 million, and the balance of the funding we'll fund ourselves. The development will consist of 19 units of accommodation, which include 14 own-door independent units and 5 supported units for adults who need 24/7 support. But it will also have a community centre that we're standing beside at the moment. And that community centre will be for the use of the residents of the site and the wider community, for meeting rooms or coffee mornings or whatever they may want to use it for. But it will also be the base for a project called the Blue Door, which is a Thurles Lions Club initiative to support adults who are experiencing challenges in their life and need someone to talk to in their hour of need. That project is operating from temporary premises at the moment, but will relocate here and will operate from here on a permanent basis thereafter.
Perfect. And just fine.
So there's a massive sense of achievement in seeking to deliver a project like this and seeking to develop and continue the legacy that that lady saw in her foresight from 1850 and bringing it forward and managing it for the next 100 years going forward, and ensuring that we're leaving a bit of a legacy, a legacy of supporting the community, but more important, supporting the people who are in that community who need support, who are not able to provide for themselves, not able to provide their own living accommodation in first instance, but then not able to cope in their living accommodation, and ensuring that they do survive. And building up a working relationship with the local authority, with the HSE, and with the other non-statutory agencies that we work with. Thurles, like a lot of other towns, has a lot of urban decay, vacant sites, vacant properties, brownfield sites. So we now are focusing on such sites. When you consider the cohort of people that we'll seek to accommodate, people with disabilities, elderly people, they all want town centre living. And in acquiring such sites and housing people like that in town centre living, you're also revitalising the streetscapes, you're revitalising the building fabrics of the streets, and you're supporting small businesses that are depending on footfall for survival. Yeah, our staff, we've a total complement of 11 working with the company. Of those, only 3 are full-time, and they're the 3 full-time care workers. So we have a care manager and 2 care assistants. And they support the residents in Matthew Burke House, but they also support the residents who move from Matthew Burke House to independent living, and they provide an outreach tenancy support to support them to survive in those tenancies. And currently we have 15 such tenants who were formerly in Matthew Burke House living in independent living, and we'll identified another 4 residents of Matthew Burke House who we consider are capable to move to independent living, so they will relocate to the Stanix village when that's developed. The housing challenges across the board. It's in every town, it's in every village. Obviously people locally would look to the town of Thurles in the first instance for housing. Currently and post-COVID, and I suppose giving the move for people now working from home, Thurles would be perceived to have been a commuter town anyway, and now we see more and more people are commuting to Dublin, Cork, Limerick from Thurles, and see Thurles as a logical place to live, and that's putting serious pressure on the town of Thurles, on the private rented market, and on the new build market, or the demand for housing. And we're replicating what's been experienced in all of the major urban areas in a town, a mid-sized town the size of Thurles. They're experiencing similar problems on a smaller scale, but they're there. Adding to that problem in Thurles is that we have a large and growing student population, because we have 2 third-level institutes in town, and student accommodation is at a premium. It just can't be got. So that adds to the problem. And if, from the point of view of private rented, the rents have, in the last 6 months, the rents are growing exponentially. Yeah, the potential for a group like us to work closely with the local authority to develop town centre, vacant, derelict, semi-derelict sites, be they commercial or residential, is immense. Like, we support elderly people, we support people with disabilities, we support people exiting homelessness. All of that cohort want to live in the centre of the town. In using those sites to deliver housing solutions for those people, you're also dealing with urban dereliction, you're repopulating the streets, you're revitalising the landscape, the streetscape and the urban realm. And there has to be a mechanism for doing that, and ensuring that local authorities across the country would work with groups like us and bring forward projects that will do that.